Hello, this is Bob Graesure with Amy Havenar. Welcome to Piqua on the Move. Hello, Amy.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Good, thank you. We're on Friday the 24th. We're out here on 25A project. It's one of those projects, Amy. We've got a lot going on. Can you talk a little bit about funding, how much we got on that, and a little brief description of the project itself?
This is about a little over a $3 million project. And we were fortunate enough to receive federal funding for this project in the amount of a little over $2 million from the federal highway. So if you've seen ODOT vehicles out here, the Ohio Department of Transportation, they administer all the funds through the federal highway, so they have to be a part of this project. So we got a little over $2 million from them, and we also received some money from the Ohio Public Works Commission, which is a state of Ohio grant. So, you know, out of a $3 million job, we received about $2.5 million just in federal funds and state funds, so we're very fortunate.
Amy, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing here. What's the scope of work? What's going to happen and what we're doing? What's going to look like through the whole project?
You ask a lot of questions, Bob, and I don't need your microphone. I got mine. We're used to last year's tapings where we had to share our mic. We're doing better now,
just trying to be
Bob.
thoughtful. Once again, I guess you don't need me. All right.
This is a widening project, and as many of you know, this was an older two-lane cross-section, no curb, no gutter, no means for pedestrians. So what we're doing is we're widening this to a 3-lane section, and we're putting in a center turn lane. So the residents out here and the Indian Ridge subdivision will have a way to get off the road to make that left-hand turn instead of the obvious rear enders that happen out here. So we're doing that, and we're also upgrading some of the utilities out here. I don't know if you do know, but there was a pretty large side ditch on the north side of the road that was just open drainage for stormwater. And so we're enclosing all that in with some 48-inch pipe, and we'll show you some of that in a little bit. And then we're doing a little bit of work to some water mains we have to lower in some areas. And then we're also putting in a new sanitary line on the south side of the roadway, because a lot of the properties on the south side, they aren't tied into sewer yet, which is you know, their prerogative. However, if they ever want to, our storm sewer is on the north side of the road, and it's about, or our sanitary sewer, and it's about 20 feet deep. So it's not very convenient for these residents if they want to tie in. So we're going to go ahead and put that in as well on the south side, and it'll be a lot shallower to make it more economical.
A little bit about the multi-use bike path, which is kind of something else that we're doing on the north side as well. We're writing a multi-use bike path on the north side, which will be connecting all the way down, going from one end of the project to the other, which will be a nice addition as well.
Yeah, we're in lieu of sidewalks, we are putting that in, which will be I believe it's 10 foot wide.
Yes.
10 foot wide asphalt path on the north side. So again, this is just kind of give the residents of Indian Ridge an opportunity to be able to access their property. Right now, obviously riding on 25A was a danger. So this will give them the opportunity to tie into our amenities within the city. And also we're making an improvement down here in front of the Tomahawk Trail access. So Bob, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, what we'll be doing there is we'll be having RFPs. This is rectangular rapid flashing beacons. So we'll have some areas where children can actually cross that area with some refuge islands that are there. So it'll be so that we can use that as a part of connectivity to the schools when we get to that point as well. We want to try and connect it as well, which leads us to another project that we're going to be talking about later, and that's Safe Routes to Schools. And that's something we're going to talk a little bit later in the program. Another project that we have that kind of connects with this one a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about traffic. You know, we've had some things with traffic with this particular project and the detours that we've had to do. A little difficult, we understand. We're asking you to stay on state routes, and it's caused a little bit of a problem in some ways, but we want to mention it. We will be changing that a little bit when we get done with phase 1. When people that are coming out of Navajo will be able to turn right, because this will all actually be paved and be on intermediate asphalt, and you can actually drive that back to the west. So that'll help a little bit. Then the second section will be from Navajo center line all the way to Indian Ridge. So that section will be closed, but anybody coming out of Navajo and wants to go west, they can do that. So that will change, and it'll make it a little bit easier. We realize it's caused a little bit of difficulty with traffic and trying to make the detour and get around. We understand that. We're trying to do it for your most safety. That's what we're most concerned with. But also it is a little bit of an imposition. Please bear with us. The durations on this, we got about 60 days on this first one. Next one we'll have about 60, and the last one will be even less. So that's where we're at, about 5 months. And we think that it'll go. Hope to try to reduce that. We've had a pretty rainy month in the month of June. We lost 9 days of construction. I don't need to tell anybody what that's like, but when you're dealing in construction, you need to have dry weather. It makes it difficult. So it's really changed the project a great deal. Amy, can you tell us anything more about the project?
Well, you were speaking of traffic, Bob, and the one thing that, you're talking about following the detour. The one thing we do want to make sure that we don't encourage are for people, the residents, or even non-residents, to cut through the Piqua City Schools property. I know it's convenient, it's there, but it's the roads that the school has on their site are not meant for this kind of traffic, and we do not want to encourage any residents or anyone to cut through their property. And I know the Piqua Police Department is going to be stepping up their enforcement to try to educate, and I think you even provided them with some detour maps.
Yeah, we've been doing a little discussing internally and talking about what we need to do for our, to try to make things as easy as possible. Like I said, after August, probably the second week in August, probably no later than that, this will be changing over and we'll be able to move some of the traffic coming out of Navajo to the west, so that will help a little bit. But for the most part, anybody all the way down in Indian Ridge will be affected by it. So we just want you to try and work with us on that and understand that that's not a part of the designated detour.
And from what I understand, Bob, and correct me if I'm wrong, but
I'll be more than happy
I know
to
you
do
will.
that, yeah.
Thank you. You're good at that. And if I understand them correctly, once they have the part from Navajo to 25A ready for traffic, they will have it paved.
That's right. It will be an intermediate, and they can travel out back to the west. So anybody coming out that wants to go that direction, they can. The only bad part about it is the two developments are not connected together. So anybody all the way down on Indian Ridge can't go to Navajo to get out. That's what makes it difficult. They're going to have to go back to the east and then down to Troy Sidney and then down. Or of course they could go up to Snodgrass and around and go that way. That's just, unfortunately, that's the way that we're asking them to go. We can't designate a detour to be Snodgrass because it's not state routes. ODOT requires it's got to be state routes, so therefore those are not state routes, but you can use that. You can use any other way that's not private, and we want to emphasize that most of all. Understanding that we all send our kids to those city schools, that's a part of that, but that is not designated or designed for that kind of traffic. So that's something else that needs to be considered. Furthermore, when we start schools and those kids need to have, we're going to be increasing the traffic going into those areas. It's going to really jump up, and it's going to be really even more hazardous. The kids going to those schools they're going to school, and we're going to be adding to that traffic by people going through that detour. That's what we're really trying to avoid way before school starts this year. So that's what our plan is.
And one other thing, Bob, I know we've been meeting quite a bit with our other city utilities talking about the water line issue out here. As I mentioned, we're doing minor water line work. When I say minor, it's not big in the scope of the project.
That means you got a light on their hat?
No, not that kind of minor, Bob. But it does affect a lot of the residents living in the Indian Ridge subdivision. So would you kind of just go through a little, just briefly, what's going to happen with that?
Yeah, along with some of the work that we have to do, we have to take out the super elevation here. So basically we're reducing the speeds in here, which means we have to lower our water lines. Well, that is no big deal, but it affects what we have to do in shutting down some of the water lines in order to change the depth of the water line. So therefore we're going to have several segments. We're going to be going into Indian Ridge subdivision and requiring a shutdown and depressurization, which means we have to chlorinate the water, which means you're going to have to boil water. So we're going to have some boil advisories that are going to be going out this next week. It's the 24th, so it'll be happening. I don't know how soon we're going to air here, but it'll be happening next week and then a couple weeks after that, actually. So we're going to be doing that. We will notify you. You'll have door hangers that will be going on your doors, notifying when you'll have to boil and when the boil advisory is being taken off. We're going to do our very best to keep you informed. Make sure our biggest thing is that we do keep water supply to you. Most contractors say just go ahead and shut it off for several days. They won't really care. That's not what we do. We want to make sure that we're providing water and service to our residents in the area, and it causes us more work to do that. Our emphasis is make sure that we are making as a minimal effect as possible to the residents in Indian Ridge, working hard to satisfy Indian Ridge in any way that we can. Behind the scenes, we're trying to do that. Many times it looks like we're not as helpful, but we really are fighting to keep the water on and making sure that you're getting good water service. So there's going to be some times, little bumps in the road where you'll have to boil water and also not use your ice cubes that are coming through on your automatic ice makers in your refrigerator.
But you can boil them first, Bob.
No. That's such a good idea. Boil them, then freeze them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no. Okay.
Well, all right already. Anyhow, please keep that in mind, and we will be keeping you informed as that progresses. This will all be erased for the first section. within about, we should be through it by the second week of August is when we're thinking we'll be done with this phase. And then we'll be moving on to the next phase. Very little water changes, one actual water change, not that drastic. It'll be quite a bit simpler. 3 in this phase, 1 in the next one, be quite a bit easier. But we're sorry about the imposition on that, but we're doing our level best to try and just provide water for you so you can clean and you can do those things in your home.
And I don't think I mentioned, Bob, who the contractor was. Weren't you
Barrett,
sure?
Barrett Paving and Materials is doing this project. They're doing a very good job. Happy with their performance on the job. They're a little frustrated because of the weather that we've had, and that's just the nature of some seasons. Sometimes we have very dry seasons we're able to do very, very well, and other times, just such as this one, it's been very difficult to perform and do as well as we like. You can see them behind us. They're working, trying to do as much as they can to keep on moving and try to catch up. It's tough to make up days when you lose complete days because of rain. Normally, they can claim a rain day if they work less than 4 hours in a day, so they're better off to just completely leave. They can't be as productive. They're better off to just, ODOT will give them that day back in the schedule, but we still could be challenged by landscaping that we have to do in September and some of the things we have to do late in the year that are really going to challenge the schedule itself. So as difficult as it sounds, they're doing a very good job. They're good to work with. They're working with the city well. A lot of coordination has to take place on construction projects such as this, and it's vital that we try to get it done and expedite it as quickly as possible. When you see us standing around, it's a very important meeting. We're all not just leaning on shovels, but it's actually a very important meeting. We're trying to discuss things to make sure you're provided for the best way possible. Amy, let's talk a little bit about Safe Routes to Schools. It's another project we got coming up. It's going to be affecting some things. Let's talk about that, can we?
It will.
And you have your own mic.
I have my own mic.
Deal.
I don't need yours. We're also getting ready to let a contract to LJ DeWeese out of Tip City, Ohio for our Safe Routes to Schools project. That's around a $600,000 project, and we also received a grant for that from the state of Ohio and around the amount of $450,000. So again, another project that mostly grant funding. That one consists of improvements all over the city. A lot of it is we're removing the signals on College Street, which by now most of you should have seen the signs going up, signal under study for removal. We're removing the signals at High and Downing and High and Ash as well as part of that, and we'll be putting in some curb extensions at High and Downing. And also the big project that we want to talk about is we're also putting in a multi-use path along Indian Trail from Looney Rd to the Piqua Junior High School. Now the bad part is, timing wise, I think I've started both these projects 5-6 years ago, and by some miracle they're both almost going to hit construction the same week. So we're also going to be starting that bike path soon, and we know we have this entrance closed to the school and that one will be open, but we're going to have contractors working to put in that bike path adjacent to Indian Trail. So again, when Bob was talking about not using that area as a detour, we cannot stress enough that we're going to have contractors over there working. We got contractors here working. We're going to have 1,200 students, 1,500 students going to the school with parents. It's going to be a nightmare, so please try to avoid that. But we are excited about our Safe Routes to Schools project. A lot of improvements going on, handicap ramps going in, new crossings. What all do we have,
Well,
Bob?
we have new schools going up, so we're going to have safe ways to get them there.
Yes.
And that's what's
Safe routes, Bob.
so important. Yeah, we have crossings all over. And it's a pretty good project. It really is. It's scattered all over. But it does require a great deal of coordination as well. We've got a lot of things that are going to be affected by that. The big one is down there on Downing and High, doing the curb extensions there, which means we got a little bit of a traffic deal going on there. Please be careful when you're driving through that area. We're going to be doing curb extensions there, and the reason for that is to try and reduce the walk space to everybody going to the YMCA, to reduce the walk length there. And we're going to put some landscaping, much like we've done in the other downtown area, down around High and Wayne. It looks nice. It's growing very well. It's very attractive. We've said that ourselves. No, it's a little bit different to deal with, but you can't help but drive in that area but slow down, and that's the big idea there. It causes people to want to just get off the gas and look around a little bit more. Kids are crossing, older folks are crossing, and we want to make sure that people are using it. The intent is to slow things down. The four-way stop has made a big difference, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. We've had a lot of comments, positive comments, And a lot of them are coming from the parents of the students at the Y and how they can feel safe now crossing in that area. Also, Bob, as part of this, we're putting in a 4-way stop at Park and Westview and Park and Parkway. So that is also part of the safe routes. And one final note, you were talking about the RFPs that we're putting in on the 25A job. We'll also be putting those in on our College Street
What is an
corridor.
RFP, Amy?
Well, my power department
Tell
likes
me.
to call them our pirate signals because we call them RFPs. So those again, those are just, those
Walk
will,
the plank, huh?
so again, those are just going to help the students be able to cross the street. They basically, as Bob said, they push a button, it flashes yellow, so that alerts the motorist that, hey, something's going on here, and then the kids can cross. So
They
we'll
are
be-
solar paneled. They're pretty neat devices. You'll see them. They're there to mark the crossings for those areas, and they're going to be they're really something different. But we're going to be seeing more of them throughout the city in some locations. Okay, what else have we got coming up, Amy? Anything else we think we need to talk about that you can think of?
I think that's enough for us right now, Bob.
Yeah,
We're busy.
We got some other projects we're going to be getting back to you about. We've got a project, actually, it's the water treatment plant, new water treatment plant we're doing, and also the offsite pipelines. We'll be getting back to you on that one. We'll be probably doing that one before the next month with Don Freisteller, the superintendent of the water system. So he's going to be doing that with us. So we're going to get you an update so you can see what's going on. Well, that's all we got, Amy. I appreciate you being with me
Either
today.
that or we get run over,
Yeah,
Bob.
yeah,
so.
they're coming after us. Thank you very much for watching. We appreciate it.